The hard calls in this book are about decisions that have historical significance, but the hard calls that most of us face are more personal in nature. Do you think the same principles apply, and if so, which ones are most worthy of emphasis?
Those principles not only apply, but if we don't make principled decisions in private, we will never make them in public. So they certainly apply. I'd say the foremost trait is probably awareness. Awareness of the situation, awareness of all inputs and views and ideas concerning this issue, and awareness that if the decision is made, the consequences of that decision as well.
As a public official, what's the hardest call you've ever had to face?
Well, the hardest call that anyone in the federal government has to face is the decision to send young Americans into harm's way, whether it be Bosnia or Kosovo or Iraq. This is obviously the most responsible and difficult of all decisions, and no other really compares quite to it.
Some of the hard calls you describe are gut calls, like Sadat's decision to seek peace with Israel. Others, like Branch Rickey's decision to put Jackie Robinson on the Dodgers, required more time and deliberation. If you had to choose, would you prefer to listen to your gut or study the question extensively?
Obviously, I would choose time to study the question, time to get input, time to get ideas and reading and study. But I wouldn't discount also an adherence to the core principles and beliefs which guide the decision making. For example, Ronald Reagan at Reykjavik. It was sort of a surprise proposal that Gorbachev made to him, and his instincts, his background, his principles and ideals are what made him make the right decision. He didn't have the time to consult with a whole lot of other people. In fact, he might have gotten opposite advice if he had asked for it. But so you have to do whatever you can to acquire the knowledge, information, and background to make a decision. But you also have to rely on your core set of principles and beliefs to give you the wherewithal to make the final decision.
As a nation, are there any hard calls we're failing to make? And what's the hardest of the hard calls that we might be failing to make?
There are so many hard calls that we are not making, that we are laying off on future generations of Americans, that sometimes it's a little dispiriting. We have to address the issue of bankruptcy, of Social Security, of Medicare, of wasteful spending, of energy independence, the need for energy independence, a simpler and fairer tax code. All of these we are unfortunately putting off for future generations. And if I am President of the United States, I will take up immediately. I think that it's pretty clear that in politics today, at least with some politicians, the easiest path is to do nothing.